Good morning, everyone. My name is Santos Vargas. I'm the this year's State Bar President, and I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is now 10:01 a.m. And with our agenda posting, we invited members of the public to view a broadcast of the Executive Committee meeting, which is live at www.youtube.com/State Bar of Texas. We also provided instructions on how to sign up to speak at today's meeting. Sign-ups to speak remotely were available until 5 p.m. Central yesterday. Members of the public will speak under agenda item 3, and those members of the public joining remotely, if any, will remain in the Zoom waiting room until it is their turn to speak. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and the recording will be made available to the public. And with that, Mr. Executive Director Apfel, will you please call the roll?
Good morning, directors participating by Zoom. Our moderators will unmute participants in order to conduct a roll call. When your name is called, please answer here. Once roll call is complete, all meeting participants attending remotely will be placed on mute. It is also important during the meeting that you keep your video on when speaking. Now I'll call roll. Director Benish. Here. Director Browning has an excused absence. Director Chiscano has an excused absence. Director Denbo has an excused absence. Director Gomez.
Here.
Director Greenslade.
Here.
Director Harrison.
Here.
Director Hicks.
Here.
Director Huddleston has an excused absence. Director Castle.
Present.
Senior Justice Lehrman has an excused absence. Director Martinez.
Here.
Director Salek.
Here.
Director Smith.
Here.
Director Stafford.
Here.
Director Vargas.
Here.
Director Voss.
Here.
Director Rampelmeyer.
Here.
And Justice Young has an excused absence. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. At this time, we'd like to welcome any members of the public who've signed up to speak. I believe we do have one member present. I don't believe we have any members of the public present via Zoom. As a public member of the public and the speaking time will be you'll be given 3 minutes to speak, and we will notify you when your time is complete. And with that, I believe we have present Mr. Carlos Leon. Mr. Leon?
Thank you,
You
sir.
have 3 minutes.
So, Carlos Leon, first and foremost, gracias a Dios for letting me put your attorney discipline system on trial. In front of you now is my 18-page packet comprised of my cover letter and my grievance once amended against City of Austin attorney Victoria Hayslett, followed by her airport-focused request for decision and library-focused request for decision sent to the Office of Attorney General. Your CDC Assistant Counsel Bianca Jessica Puente has twice wrongly classified my evidence-based grievance an inquiry instead of a complaint. Boda backed her once and has docketed my amended grievance for review. This morning, I am in person following up my April 2025 Board of Directors meeting online testimony and materials on these matters. The elephants in the room continue being persistent attorney discipline system problems of bias in attorneys' favor and lack of transparency of the confidential grievance process with respect to unknown decision-making criteria, unknown validity of and reliability across grievance decisions, and unknown reasons some grievances fail and others succeed, documented in Ombudsman Lowe's recent annual report to the Supreme Court of Texas, presented at your January 2025 Board of Directors meeting. Texas Government Code 81.073 A1A and A1B6 say CDC's office shall classify each grievance on receipt as a complaint if the grievance alleges conduct that, if true, constitutes professional misconduct under TDRPC and is submitted by a person who has a cognizable individual interest in or connection to the legal matter or facts alleged in the grievance. Summarized on page 1 is how Hayslett allegedly violated TDRPC rule 3.03A1 by knowingly making a false statement of material fact to a tribunal, allegedly to deceive Office of Attorney General into wrongly withholding public information I requested by repeatedly conflating Austin's airport with Austin's library, to gaslight OAG into falsely considering the library critical infrastructure, to grant the confidentiality exemption she sought under Texas Government Code 418.181. Serious professional misconduct, also constituting serious crimes of perjury, aggravated perjury, and tampering with governmental record, explicated in my original grievance. Thus, my grievance against Victoria Haslett should be classified a complaint, forcing your CDC to review and investigate it to determine whether there is just cause, per Texas Government Code 81.075A. If you are unable and or unwilling to follow your own rules and state statutes, you cannot be allowed to oversee yourselves anymore. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leon.
Likewise. President.
Thank you to Mr. Leon for being here with us today. And with that, I believe we've now heard from every member of the public who signed up to speak, and the public comment period is now closed. During the remainder of the meeting, for those directors who are present with us, please walk up to the podium and I'll let you know whenever it's your turn to speak. And for those of you who are present via Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature on Zoom, and we'll acknowledge you at that point in time. And with that, we'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Trey Apfel, for his report.
Thank you, President Vargas, and good morning, directors. I want to update you on some of our travels, meetings, and activities since the annual meeting, beginning first with our Texas Bar College Summer School, which was our annual program held in Galveston. This year it was held on July 9th through the 11th, had a great turnout, great programs, great speakers, and a great response from the attendees. It was a very well done conference. Following that, we had our local bar leaders conference in Houston that was held July 24th and 25th. Again, very successful. This conference helps the state bar fulfill our statutory requirement to encourage the formation and activities of local bar associations. So thanks to TYLA and to the Access to Justice Commission for partnering with us as co-hosts of that conference. I also had the opportunity to attend the National Association of Bar Executives meeting, the National Conference of Bar Presidents meeting, and the Southern Conference of Bar Presidents meeting, all with President Vargas and President-elect Smith. The bar exec meeting is a gathering of executives from across the country. It gives me an opportunity to share ideas and network and get a feel for what's happening in other mandatory bars across the country, and as well as some voluntary bars. It is an excellent opportunity to hear to hear and understand that they are dealing with, if not the same, very similar issues to what we deal with here in Texas. So it's an opportunity to share ideas, share thoughts, share solutions. Many times we are constantly asked and requested to provide information on how we do things because Texas is looked upon as a leader in this world of mandatory unified bars. And I am proud to be able to report to our board and our executive committee that the tradition carries on. We continue to help other bars. Other bars help us when we need help. And we have great relationships with the executive offices of all of these other bars. So I want to report that to you and tell you it's invaluable. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to go to these meetings and participate in these discussions. So thank you. Also, the National Conference of Bar Presidents had their meeting. President Vargas contributed to a panel at that meeting. Can I tell you, he's a rock star. He did an excellent job presenting on the restrictions within which unified mandatory bars have to operate. He did so in a manner that was very well accepted and understood by all of the other unified mandatory bars. And he set a tone that is necessary in today's climate of operating a unified mandatory bar. So I want to thank President Vargas for his contributions to that panel. I was sitting there beaming like a proud uncle or something, brother, whatever. Maybe some people might even say father, but I was proud nonetheless.
We'll leave it at uncle.
He did a great job. He did a great job. He really did. And I look forward to more of those stellar efforts in the coming months. We also, I had the opportunity to attend a luncheon of the ABA Solo Small Firm and General Practice Division. And at that luncheon, Greg Sampson of our Law Practice Management Committee received recognition and an award on behalf of the committee, their 2025 Solo and Small Firm Project Award for our succession planning project and toolkit. A lot of great work went into that. Past President Laura Gibson, that was an initiative of hers, which she started back when she was a director on the board and saw it through. And it has obviously gained national attention. And we were very proud of being able to be there with Greg Sampson for that award. Chrissy was there at that meeting also. And it was good to have some fellow Texans there at the meeting. Then lastly, on that front, our Texas Bar CLE Advanced Family Law Seminar was held in San Antonio, as always, August 4th through the 7th. Heard from many members about how well, number one, that was attended. It's probably the largest CLE in the country. And then number two, how well it was received and how important it is to our family law community in terms of education and networking. Next on the solo and small firm CLE front, we're going to continue our solo small firm presentation in advance of our board meetings this year. This is a tradition that goes back to 2013. Our next solo small firm CLE will take place Thursday, September 25th, right here at the Law Center. And I want to thank Senior Justice Deborah Learman, President Vargas, Director Chris Nicholson, David Gonzalez of Sumter and Gonzalez, and Ken and Lily Wooten for agreeing to speak at this event. They will speak on topics ranging from update on the Supreme Court of Texas, family law, criminal law, and attorney's fees. So we're looking forward to that. And then we are finalizing the new State Bar and Commission for Lawyer Discipline annual reports, as well as the volunteer and staff guide. Our goal is to have these resources available to you in board effect in time for the September board meeting. Once completed, they will also be available to our membership and to the public online at the State Bar website. So with that, that completes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Executive Director Apfel. Are there any questions or discussion on Executive Director Apfel's report? Any questions? Okay. With that, we will move on to the report from the president. And I just want to give you kind of a quick update on what I've been up to over the course of the last few months. I think since the State Bar annual meeting, I've been to close to 30 different events across the state of Texas, everywhere from Lubbock to Houston, Dallas, down to Corpus, everywhere in between. We've been working hard for Texas lawyers, but I won't bore you with kind of listing all of them. There are a couple that I really want to focus on. One is one that Trey mentioned just a minute ago, and that is the National Conference of Bar Presidents meeting that we had in Toronto this year. And I know that past president Steve Benish has experienced this same phenomenon during his presidency. But when we travel to these different conferences of bar presidents, whether it's a Western conference, a Southern conference, a national conference, everybody looks to Texas and the leadership that we're providing. I can tell you that we may be number 3 in terms of size. We're number one in terms of leadership and in terms of the benefits that we provide to our members. And when we go to these conferences, everybody comes up, they ask about the programs that we're doing. They ask about what we're doing on different things like AI, for example, and they want to go back and replicate what we've done in their states. And so we are really, truly on the cutting edge of leadership and what we're doing for lawyers, not just in Texas, but we're providing a model for what can be done nationally. That is in large part to the very steady leadership that we have year after year in the executive suite, including from our executive director, Trey Apfel. So I want to make sure that we give him his due and a round of applause for all of the great work that he's doing. One of the other things that I really want, and I'm very proud of, is what we've been doing on access to justice this year. So many of you know that the State Bar launched our Access to Justice initiative on June 20th. And, we started looking at this issue in the months leading up to my swearing in, and we started looking at some of the stats like the fact that up to 90% of civil legal needs for low-income Texans go unmet. Stats like we're 54th in the country in funding civil legal aid. Stats like we spend more in this country, including Texas, for Halloween costumes for our pets than we do on access to justice. And so we knew that access to justice needed to be a priority this year. We launched that initiative. We raised $13,000 on day one. We're now up to close to $30,000 in individual donations. I'm proud to report that we got word yesterday from the Texas Bar Foundation that there is another $20,000+ that will be donated directly to Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. In addition to that, we have another $20,000 that we've secured from the San Antonio Estate Planners Council. We have another $25,000 coming in from the Paz de Corazon Foundation. And that brings us to close to $100,000. In addition to that, we have now raised over 1,000 volunteer hours through the Stand with Santos website. And that brings us to over $300,000 in value in terms of attorney hours. So as lawyers, we are stepping up. We are doing everything we can. I can tell you that every single place that I speak, I am pounding the drum on the need to raise both volunteers and funds for access to justice. I will continue to do that throughout the course of the year. Also proud to report that, we were thrown a curveball with what happened on Independence Day on July the 4th. And we very quickly pivoted, and we knew that there were lots of funds that were going to be needed to help fund the programs that groups like Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid are putting into place. And so we pivoted and we took all of our donations from July the 4th through September 30th now, and we're earmarking all of those donations directly for disaster relief. I can tell you that groups like Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid are very happy to have those funds. They need them. This is a need that will exist not just for weeks, not just for months, but that will play out over the course of several years. And so we're out there, we're working hard on access to justice, and we'll continue to do that, doing that the rest of the year. Thank you all for your help on that effort. One of the other things that I want to really kind of bring to everyone's attention in concluding my report is that we're very fortunate in the state of Texas as lawyers in that we're self-regulated. A big part of being self-regulated is the fact that we have an independent grievance system. That independent grievance system cannot function correctly, cannot function smoothly without the appointment of members, both public members and attorney members, to grievance panels. And currently, there are several openings on grievance panels across the state that need to be filled. We're working on filling those, but I'll be reaching out to specific directors that we need appointments from in the coming days. But whenever you get those requests from the disciplinary counsel's office, I ask that you please immediately start thinking about who it is in your district, whether it's a member of the public or an attorney member that can fill that role, because without those grievance panels, our independent grievance system comes to a halt, and we can't have that. We need to remain self-regulated, and a big part of that is making sure that our grievance system works effectively and efficiently. So I'd appreciate your cooperation on that. I know Shauna Willing would also appreciate your cooperation on that. And so let's make sure that we work hard to make that happen. And with that, that concludes my report. Any questions? Okay. Oh, one last thing before, actually, I do want to mention one thing. We are instituting this year a wall of honor for all of those directors who have reached out and either engaged in already or set up times to go out and speak to local bar associations in their district. We'll be putting up the wall of honor at our meeting coming up in just a couple of weeks here in Austin. I want to make sure that all of your names are on that wall of honor. So if you haven't yet set up your speaking engagement with one of your local bar associations, do that as soon as possible, so that come the board meeting, your name is on that wall of honor. If you've already set it up or if you've already spoken, please let us know. Email me, email Jennifer. Let us know what that speaking engagement is. We want to make sure that we give you the credit that's due. And we want to make sure that we're doing our job as ambassadors for the State Bar of Texas by going out and sharing information about all of the wonderful work that we're doing, that our staff is doing, that our leadership team is doing. So let's do it justice. Let's go out and talk to local bar associations in our districts and let them know about all of the amazing things that we're doing. I can tell you that a big part of my presentation, every time I go out and speak, is talking about the member benefits. And every single time I talk about the member benefits, people's jaws drop on all of the great, about all of the great benefits that we secure for our members. People won't use them if they don't know about them. So get out there. We have the presentations already ready to go. We want your name on that wall of honor. And with that, that concludes my report. Any questions or comments? Okay. Next, we're going to consider and discuss the approval of the minutes from the March 25th, 2025 Executive Committee meeting. I need both a motion and a second to approve the March 25th, 2025 minutes. Any director who wishes to make a motion, please state your name. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Director Stafford, so.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Director Martinez.
Director Martinez, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion? Okay, with that, the motion carries and the minutes are approved. And next up, we have a report from the chair of the board, Madam Chair, Brittany Harrison.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to be brief. All about efficiency. Board Effect and our SBOT emails. So we were trying to use Board Effect to increase efficiency and reduce printing costs by giving everyone all of the access to everything in one space, and also in the secure online access to everything you need to fulfill your duties as a director. Along those lines, directors, as a reminder, please check your Board Effects. Please also check your SBOT emails. If you RSVP the first time, you stop getting emails. So you won't have to get all those reminders if you do it the first time. And also it just makes things a lot easier for Jen and Tammy to not have to be chasing after us. What I've done, because this is what, my 5th year or 6th year, something like that. I put on my Google Chrome a bookmark for my SBOT emails where I can just go check on that. And then next to its Board Effect, it literally takes me, I don't know, maybe a minute every morning. That's what I do first thing in the morning. And then I do it one more time before I leave the office for the day. And I'm not missing any emails. I'm making sure I get everything, done. Because sometimes you might have something that comes through in the morning, but you're in court. You don't have time to look at it. Just look at it at the end of the day and get into the habit of doing that. And it makes everything a lot easier. So please check your Board Effects, respond to those emails the first time, and you won't get a call saying, hey, did you reply to that survey? And then also at the next meeting, I will be soliciting candidates to serve as chair of the 2026-2027 chair. And we'll request second-year directors that are interested in running for chair to contact me prior to the January board meeting and according to board policy. With that, that's all I have for you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Any questions or comments for Brittany Harrison? Okay. With that, we'll now hear from our president-elect, David Smith. David, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Vargas. I'd just like to start out by saying this has been quite a learning experience. This position does not come with a user's manual. And you learn as you go. And it's kind of like when I was trying criminal cases back in the 80s, you didn't have discovery. You flew by the seat of your pants while you were trying a case and hoped that things came out all right and hoped that you had some good mentorship, had some good leadership, and had some good advice from your friends to keep you from falling on your face. And fortunately, that's happened to me. I have Trey. I have Santos. I have Jennifer. I have this wonderful staff. And so far, they've kept me from falling on my face and doing anything that would cause any type of disrepute to the bar. And I hope to continue doing that and hope to move forward and do the things that I've seen happening just in the short time that I've been in this position. I'd like to talk about some of the things that I've been able to do since June. I've been to a number of different organizations carrying forward the Stand with Santos program and advocating that before different groups. I did get to go to the National Conference of Bar Presidents, and I will tell you, you've heard from Trey and you've heard from Santos about that. I'm not going to belabor the issue. I just want to tell you how proud I sat in awe as I watched that conference unfold, because people came up to Trey. These are people from all over the United States, bar associations all over the United States. They weren't going to anyone else. They'd come up to Trey and say, Trey, what do we do about this? They would come up to Santos and say, Santos, what are your thoughts on this? And one of the most divisive issues is how bars respond to certain happenings in the nation right now. And Santos very clearly, and I wish we had a recording and I wish everybody could have seen how he handled that. He explained the position of a mandatory bar in such it was just amazing. The manner in which he presented that, everybody understood. You could literally hear the light bulbs popping on over people's heads as they listened to what he was saying, and they finally got it. And they understood where we were coming from and why we were coming from that direction. And so, Santos, thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Thank you.
I also was privileged to get to go to the Texas Bar Membership Connection Program, the TMCP in Dallas. They had several events all over the state. And I am proud to announce that one of our committee members, Noelle Hicks, has just been named as co-chair for next year. Congratulations to her. I know you're going to do a great job. They do some really great work. I encourage everyone to get involved. As far as what you can do as directors, what Santos said is absolutely true. You need to reach out to your local bar associations. Reach out, make connections, get presentations. Call Santos. If he's available, I guarantee you he'll be on the road and he'll come speak to them with you. Carry forward the message of Stand with Santos, because we've got a long way to go to get the money that we want to see happen in that. But Stand with Santos, spread the word, get that out, and talk to your local bar organizations. You will find it to be very fulfilling. And we really need to get the word out there and educate people about how truly lucky they are to have the bar association that we have here in Texas. Now, I'm going to ask that you resist the urge to get your cell phones out and start checking up on your fantasy football leagues during this next part. I'm going to talk to you about budgets and the budget committee update.
Before we do that, do we have on President-elect David Smith's general report, do we have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Dave, why don't you go ahead and proceed with?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Okay. Now, The Budget Committee is going to hold its first meeting next week. That's going to be on September the 9th. The committee will review the State Bar's budget process and the budget preparation timeline, and we'll be setting that up for eventual approval and presentation of the budget next year. In recent years, State Bar departments have prepared their budget by starting with prior year's baseline numbers and then adding or subtracting expenses based on their projected needs. Under that process, all expenses were scrutinized, and then any expenditures over the baseline number had to be approved by an additional level of review. This year, things are going to be a little bit different. The Finance Division is implementing a zero-based budget development for the general fund budgets. Like the name implies, everybody starts from zero. You don't take your baseline numbers and then work either adding to or subtracting from. You start from zero and start developing your entire budget. I think that will be have the budget categories will be broken down, reviewed by management to determine essential and non-essential expenses, and then they just, like it says, build from zeros to justify each budget item. The division and department directors will be working on their zero-based budgets in September and in October. The bar continues to implement processes like these that will focus on financial responsibility and efficient use of bar resources. This zero-based budget process is another example of the bar's continuing efforts in that area. I think it adds to our transparency. I think it adds to our efficiency, and I think in general terms, it's going to make the bar a much more efficient operation. I think it's a really good process that we're putting into place. The Budget Committee will hold its more in-depth review on December 16th here at the Law Center. Division and department directors will attend this meeting to provide information about their respective budget areas. During this meeting, the committee will finalize a proposed budget for 26-27, and that will be presented to the executive committee and the board at the January 2026 meeting. And that concludes my report. Thank y'all.
Before you go, President-elect Smith, any questions or comments for President-elect David Smith on his report? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. With that, we'll hear from our immediate past president, Steve Benish. Steve, you have the floor.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am pleased to say to you that I am far less traveled than either President Vargas or President-elect Smith. Amazingly, I have begun running into Buc-ee's employees who do not know me. So I know that's a good sign. I have been to a handful of things. I want to run over them very quickly and then talk about a couple of initiatives from my year, presidential initiatives I have that still have legs to them and are moving forward at this time. On June 9th through the 12th, as a representative of the State Bar of Texas, I attended the Mississippi Bar's annual meeting. Mississippi Bar is a sister member of the Southern Conference of Bar Presidents, and its outgoing president, my counterpart, Meade Mitchell, passed the gavel there. Meade and his wife, Holly, likewise in their emissary representative capacity, attended our annual meeting back in June. Then on July 16th, I attended the grand opening of the Houston Young Lawyers Association's office space. It's their first standalone offices ever. In June, both Randy Sorrells, who's a former State Bar president himself, and I were asked to serve on HYLA's advisory board. We are lifetime friends who first got to know each other as young lawyers together. We're the same age. He just looks a lot better as members of HYLA many years ago. I, like both President-elect Smith and President Vargas have mentioned, attended the local bar leaders conference at the end of July. And not to be redundant about that, but one thing I did want to mention, and it relates to the first presidential initiative I wanted to mention. You may recall last year and the year before, we talked about partnering, the State Bar partnering with local bar associations and with the Texas Lawyers Assistance Program to develop a program of docket or practice assistance to help lawyers who need to step away from their practices for a time to deal with the substance use and mental health issues that they were dealing with, because often those are the source of the greatest stress, less languishing practices. The Austin Bar Association, and more particularly its then president, Mary Ellen Wyatt King, now State Bar Director King, stepped forward and agreed to pilot the program as a template for other local bars to use in partnership with the State Bar and TLAP. And that program was unveiled in a session at the local bar leaders conference. And I participated in that session along with Director King, who led that presentation. And it was a wonderful presentation. Soon thereafter, we both Director King and I were contacted by Law 360, who asked if they could publish an article about this new program in the state of Texas and the partnership between the State Bar, TLAP, and local bars. That was published on August 1st. Both Director King and I were interviewed and quoted in that article. I commend it to you. It's entitled "Novel Texas Program Aims to Support Lawyers in Crisis." Next, on July 29th and 30th, in my new capacity on the Board of Law Examiners, I served as lead examiner. That is the guy with his finger on the stopwatch. At the administration of the state bars of the July bar exam in Austin. There were 428 examinees out of the 3,337 men and women across the state who took the bar exam on that day. On August 20th, I was part of a group that spoke at UT Law School to incoming first years. And in my capacity, I described the companion hand-in-glove relationship and roles of the State Bar of Texas and the Board of Law Examiners. And finally, on August 27th, I attended the Austin Save the Date reception for the TMCP at King and Spalding's Austin office. Both of the chairs, Emma Cano and Ashley Brown, were in attendance and led the presentation to those in attendance. I did want to join President-elect Smith in congratulating Noel Hicks on agreeing to be part of that tandem for the next 2 years. I thank you for that. The one other thing that I wanted to mention, the second initiative, has to do with a revamp and a refresh of the State Bar's website. The State Bar staff continues to work with the vendor, the third-party vendor, in the redesign of texasbar.com. And as you may recall, we are working to make the website as user-friendly as possible, to give the site a fresh look and feel, and to organize content so that it's easy to find and accessible to all users, be they lawyers or non-lawyers. I'm pleased to report that the design phase is nearing completion. I have a pending homework assignment with regard to reviewing the FAQs that I need to complete. Staff will soon proceed to the development phase, and we are going to begin migrating content onto this new site. And it's very exciting. It's going to be cool. It's going to feel like a brand new shiny car that's easy to drive. We plan to launch the website in coming months, and I will continue to update and report to you as that occurs. Thank you very much. Mr. Vargas and President Vargas, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Past President Benish. Do we have any questions or comments from directors? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much, Past President Benish. Before we move on to our next report, I do want to take a point of personal privilege. This last week, we all received the tragic news that one of our former directors, former chair of the Texas Bar Foundation, Alistair Dawson, passed away. And so I'd like to take a moment, have a moment of silence to honor Alistair. Alistair was a leader among leaders in our profession, and we mourn his passing. Okay, with that, we will now hear from our immediate past chair, Mr. Paul Stafford, on nominations and elections. Chair Stafford, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Vargas. Past President Steve Benish and I have the honor of serving as co-chairs of the Nomination and Elections Subcommittee. The Nomination and Elections Subcommittee will soon begin the search process for our president-elect candidates for the State Bar of Texas. For this next election cycle, it's an open year. And what that means is that potential nominees may come from any county in the state of Texas. The committee will meet on September 11th. And we'll start looking at individuals to consider and developing a contact list of potential nominees. We plan to conduct interviews in November, and the committee will submit the names of recommended nominees to the board in January for consideration. Once the board approves the candidates at the January board meeting, the candidates can campaign until the end of the election. The election begins April 1st and ends April 30th. Also, a third of our elected directors are entering their final year of the board, and their term will end next June of 2026. There's a chart in your meeting materials that shows the districts that are up for election this year, this bar year. We ask our third-year directors to be thinking about lawyers who might be interested in running for your districts, and that might take some time. So I will move off script slightly and just say, start thinking about it right now, because you have to think about it, and then you should maybe approach folks and see their interest level, and that takes time. Anyone interested in running for director or for president-elect can find information on our website or call Jennifer Reams in the executive office. If you have any comments or suggestions about the nominations or elections process, please contact myself or past President Benish. And thus endeth my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from any of the directors? Okay, thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we will move on to the report from the Audit and Finance Committee. Director Forrest Huddleston has an excused absence, and so we will hear from Executive Director Trey Atfel on that report. Trey, you have the floor.
Thank you, directors. Your executive committee packet includes a financial dashboard and financial statements for the month ending June 30, 2025. I'm happy to report that for that period, the State Bar is showing a positive variance in the amount of $338,465 for our general fund. For fiscal year 24-25, revenues were relatively flat. In fact, they were very flat, to say the least. The State Bar this year for fiscal year 25-26, we expect revenues to increase primarily due to the dues increase that we implemented for this fiscal year. So stay tuned for that and further developments on that front. The CPA firm Weaver is currently performing our annual State Bar financial audit for fiscal year 24-25. So the financial statements will be issued by Weaver no later than November 20th of 2025. And then between November and January of 2026, that is the January board meeting, those statements will be presented to the Audit and Finance Committee, reviewed and discussed by the Audit and Finance Committee, and then referred to the full board at the board meeting for the board's review and approval at the January 2026 board meeting. The State Bar also undergoes, in addition to financial audits, internal operational process audits. And you've heard Chair Huddleston talk about the difference between the various audits. The audit firm of McConnell & Jones is beginning field work on its scheduled internal audits in October, and the final reports will be due to management in February of 2026. The internal audits and advisory review audits are part of a 5-year plan where we identify certain areas of operation within the bar. This year, the firm will be looking at the areas of legal access department, law practice management, and our Public Funds Investment Act compliance and review of controls. The auditors will provide a full report at our April board meeting in 2026. And that completes the audit and finance report.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Executive Director Appel? Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. And next up, we'll hear from our from section representative to the board, Brandy Wingate Voss. Brandy, you have the floor.
Thank you. So on August 15th, we had our section's new officer orientation that was held here at the Texas Law Center. We had chairs, treasurers, and other officers from every section that were invited to attend, and we had our largest attendance with 81 attendees this year. So that was great. The Civil Liberties and Civil Rights section has proposed changing their name to the Constitutional Law section, and that name change is working through the process, and I expect that to be on the agenda in January at our January board meeting. At our annual meeting, the sections were responsible for creating 75.5 hours of MCLE programming, including 11.25 hours of ethics credit. And then aside from that, our sections in the 2024-2025 bar year were responsible for creating 139.5 hours of CLE credit on their own. So the additional courses that they have just put on through the sections, that's not even counting the partnerships with Texas Bar CLE. So we're doing great. Sections are busy, and glad to be representing them.
Great work.
Thanks.
Thank you, Director Voss. Any comments or questions from members of the board? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. And next, we're going to hear from our Supreme Court liaison, Justice Evan Young, who's with us today. Justice Young, you have the floor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Don't have too much to delay this very efficient meeting with the court. Is now a man down as of midnight on Tuesday. Justice Boyd has become retired Justice Boyd. So we pray that the governor will send us the justice that we need, whoever that might be. No idea who it will be. We'll know probably no sooner than you all. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. The court released a bunch of rules, proposed rules on Friday, right before September 1st, when a number of statutes took effect. That was the lead up for much of that. There are many more things still coming. No need to belabor what they all are. Take a look. If you're not subscribed to the Supreme Court's service, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm sure that everyone here can hold their head high because you have. But if not, go to the webpage and sign up. It's a very useful thing. And you can see the things because there are times in which individual lawyers will find it useful to get in touch with us or Jackie Domery, our rules attorney, or any one of us. This is not talking to us about a case. We can talk to you about rules, administrative things. It's not an ex parte contact or something like that. And in fact, we really rely heavily on the bar and the lawyers, the state organizations, entities, to help us make sure that the rules are up to date, that they're working properly, that they're serving the people of our state and the bar of our state. So take a look at those. There'll be more coming, and the court will begin the term publicly this coming week because we will begin oral arguments for the 25-26 term, and we began it formally last week by having our long conference, the end of summer conference, where we went through many petitions and many of the rules that were then released on Friday and other things that are still yet to come. So I think you officially have to ask if somebody has comments or questions, right?
You can, we'll defer to you, Justice Young.
No.
Any questions or comments for Justice Evan Young? Okay, thank you so much, Justice Young. And again, thank you on behalf of the entire State Bar Board of Directors, both to you, Justice Young, as well as Justice Lehrman. You always put so much time and effort into coming by and spending time with us and giving us an update on what the court is doing, and we sincerely appreciate the time. We know that it's very valuable, and we don't take that lightly. So thank you very much.
Bar is very valuable.
Well, thank you, Justice Young. Next up, we'll hear from our TYLA President, Allison Martinez. Allison, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I also won't take too long, as evidenced by my very small notepad right here. In July, the Texas Young Lawyers Association Executive Committee met for their annual retreat, where we were able to finalize our budget and start the year off strong. We were so excited to come together as a group, the executive committee, and just align ourselves for the year ahead. And so really, really excited to see them and their leadership throughout this year. And immediately the week after, we joined the State Bar of Texas and the Access to Justice Commission at the local bar leaders conference, where TYLA presented on a number of topics to continue to further our relationships with our local affiliates and provide support when needed. And also brainstorm with them how we can be of better service to our local affiliates throughout the year. It was a great conference. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to our member services committee for TYLA for the quick work that they did in preparing for the conference and getting all of their sessions done. So that was great. What is being worked on as we speak? Because on June the 1st, I hadn't even gotten sworn in, but our committees were already hard at work. So we are working on finalizing our annual report, which intends to highlight immediate past President Hisham Masri's year and everything that he accomplished. We hope to have a copy of that for you all soon to review. We have selected a vendor for our Texas Bar Foundation project for the public. We have gone with Weekends Media. Our public service committee is running point on that project, but as I may or may not have mentioned previously, it's a project that's going to be worked on throughout all of TYLA, through all of our committees. So everyone has been hard at work. There's already copy being submitted, which is phenomenal because that typically is done in the spring. So I'm really excited about that. Our programming committee is in charge of our podcast this year, and we have already had a number of podcast recordings, 3 to be exact. 2 for our Shiro podcast, which highlights female attorneys who are trailblazers and pioneers in the field. I had the privilege yesterday of interviewing Barry Crawley, who is the first female TYLA president. And so it was truly an honor. I can't wait for that episode to come out. She was just in this building yesterday, so that was great. And we have a few more set up for the rest of September. Our law development committee is also preparing our very first generation virtual mixer and CLE that will be in October the 2nd. It's a chance for first generation law students, young lawyers, senior lawyers to come together and, you know, share woes and experiences and all of things, and to hopefully further connect them to each other for mentorship purposes. Throughout the month of August, I spent it traveling a lot. I attended the ABA Young Lawyers Division annual meeting and the ABA annual meeting in Toronto. Alongside with me was our chair, Dave Hagan, who also served as our ABA liaison, or representative, I should say, and Holton Westbrook, who is our other ABA YLD representative. And we took part of their annual meeting as well. And then from there, it was a quick flight to Houston, not quick, it took a while, lots of delays, to Houston, where I spoke at law school orientation for Thurgood Marshall School of Law, which is my alma mater. So it was the second year I was able to do so, and truly an honor to be able to go back. And from there, I went to Lubbock the very next day and to speak at the Texas Tech Law School orientation, which is also an honor to be at. Very, very wonderful facility and very welcoming. The Red Raiders are, so glad to be there. And then from there, I came back to Austin to speak at sections orientation about how TYLA can continue to serve and how we can partner up with our sections on projects and all of the things. Directly leaving from here, I will be heading to Houston for our first TYLA board meeting of the year. So we are so happy to be at the Houstonian this weekend. I know Santos and Trey will join us and report on state bar activities. At the board meeting, we will be having a reception with the Houston Young Lawyers Association on Friday in an attempt to further our relationship with our local affiliates. And we are also excited to take part in a public service project at the Thurgood Marshall School of Law as a way to also give back to my alma mater. We're having, we call it Practice Area Passport. It's like a career expo with practice areas. Our board of directors will be lined up, separated by different practice areas. And we've invited the law students to come and hear more about what everyone does and see if they can walk out with a business card or two and contacts and whatnot. So we've invited all Houston area law students to come and take part of that. So it's an exciting project. We have to thank Thurgood Marshall School of Law for being an incredible partner doing that. We have former directors, 2 YLA directors who work at Thurgood, who have helped us spearhead this. So we're really, really excited for that. And finally, our diversity scholarship was renamed to the First Generation Law Student Scholarship Program. And it has been a great change. And it's already, I presented about it during orientations and we were getting applications that day. So very excited to see those applications come through. It's always lots of stories of perseverance, resilience, and just amazing stories of a pathway to the practice of law. So really, really excited to judge those in the fall. And that is it, because again, I'm long-winded, so we need to keep me up here. We all want to get going, so.
Thank you to our TYLA President Allison Martinez. Do we have any questions or comments from the members of the board? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much for all of your hard work, President Martinez. And with that, we're going to hear next from our General Counsel, Ross Fisher. No report. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the report from from our Chief Legal Counsel, Chris Ritter. Chris, you have the floor.
Thank you, and I'll be really brief. Happy to announce we will not need a closed session today. I can report in public the news I have, but I wanted to start by acknowledging and thanking, in addition to the executive team who often meets with our legal team on a dime to deal with fires that show up, and that's Trey Apfel, Jennifer Reams, Kaylin Laney, Lowell Brown, and Amy Turner, who are all here. I wanted to especially thank Amanda Engel, who's up here. We're in a very exclusive 2-person team that works on so many legal matters, and I wanted to say thanks. But add August 14th, the Turnbull case, which was many of you were personally served on, was against the Commission for Lawyer Discipline and the State Bar, and it really had to do with a claim of a failure to prosecute, and we took legal steps to defend ourselves properly. That case is no longer. On August 14th, the plaintiff filed to dismiss, and I wanted to give a special thanks to Shauna Willing and Royce Lamone and that team that worked so hard on many that case and many others, and Amanda Cates and Michael Graham at the trial level and on appeal. And I'll have to say we have a pretty stellar record thanks to all of those people. And with that, I don't have any other substantive updates.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from directors to our Chief Legal Counsel, Chris Ritter? Okay, seeing none. And I believe we do not need a closed session for this meeting. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, second? All in favor?
Second.
Any opposed?
10:59.
Under an hour, everybody, under an hour. That's efficiency. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for all the hard work and all of the effort that you put into making our